Welcome back, Dodecadorks. We're the 12-sided guys. We have Scott as Ornan, the Vantorian acolyte of Aona.
At your service.
And me, Paul, as the dramatic dictator of dilemmas, death, and dalliances. Now, after saying all that, I feel that I should explain that when I say dictator, I mean one who dictates, as in recites or tells a story to be recorded. Not that other kind of dictator, benevolent or not. You know what? I think the more I talk, the less I want to be compared to a dictator at all, even if it is just a dramatic dictator of dilemmas, death, and dalliances. How about this? And me, Paul, your good story guy who makes you think about stuff. Yeah, that's it. Regardless, thanks for hanging out with us today as we explore some of Ornan's backstory. Anyway, if you ever ventured out of the depths of the earth only to have your old buddy sealed away behind you by blowing himself up, don't worry though. He somehow survived the explosion and the hundreds of feet fall to the lava-strewn ground far below. Then this podcast is for you. It's Chorus of the Forsaken, episode 76. Oh man, it's Ornan. Today, it is just you and me, Scott, and today we are going to delve into some of the backstory of our favorite deep gnome, Ornan Opalbleacher. First off, a couple of quick questions. You've gone into some of his background, like where he's from. We know a little bit about his past with the Vantorians, also a bit about his family. You mentioned he's from a place called Glimhaven. Can you tell us a little bit about Glimhaven?
So, Glimhaven is a small village, and it's a part of like what I imagine is like an interconnected series of small, deep gnome villages, not like right next to each other, but they're all governed by their own, whatever their local government is, and they have like alliances of protection for all of these little villages around this area. And so he's from Glimhaven. It's one of the smaller of these villages. It's in the Underdark. It's their primary export is fish and mushrooms. There's a lot of waterways through where they live. It's run by a clan chief and then a merchants guild, and that was kind of the extent of what thought I put into the city. So.
Yeah, no, not a problem. So it's a part of a bigger collection of towns that are all kind of connected. Do you see it as being like in its own kind of cavern, or do you see it as being like on a cliff overlooking a huge lake that like might have other towns on the other side? Like, is it very closed off, or is it wide open underground? Does that make sense?
So it would be like pretty open where the village is, but then it would be like in its own cavern, and each of these little towns, like, when I say like nearby, they're not like super close, but close enough with like a day travel between at least one or two of them. And then the series of villages, they kind of all band together to defend each other when there's any sort of big threat.
Okay. Well, and we learned a little bit about some of the area around Glimhaven in your Tale of Vantoria, or Tale of Via Severia from, I don't know, maybe almost a year ago.
Yeah, it was about a year ago.
Yeah, where we heard from Ra's Opalbleacher, as well as there was a dust shaman, and there was a random halfling for some reason.
Yeah.
And you guys they were trying to keep the Sahuagin from invading through these tunnels to get to.
I've always said it's Sahagin, but I've never, like, I don't know how to pronounce it. So,
they say it on Baldur's Gate 3, and I keep meaning to be like, I need to listen how they say it. And then every time they say it, I'm not paying attention enough, So, anyway, I always said Sahuagin. Well, actually, that's not true. I always said Sahagin, but then I think Sahuagin just, I don't know. Anyway, regardless, fish folk who were trying to get in and trying to attack Glimhaven, and you guys were attempting to blow the rocks to seal off the cave entrance so that they couldn't get in through that route.
Yes.
So
yeah.
we've already met some people from Glimhaven's past, including Ra's Opalbleacher, or Raz. Is that a Z?
With a
Roz.
Z, yeah, Roz.
Yeah, Roz Opalbleacher, who was a hero of Glimhaven, like a captain, a mighty warrior, sort of somebody who built this fame and renown around her martial aptitude and the way that she protected Glimhaven.
Well, she was part of the Glimhaven militia, and that was what inspired Ornan and his brother Kino to join the militia after she died.
Oh, fantastic. So and this is an interesting question that I have then. How did Ornan deal with having a mother who was so revered? Especially because, well, how old was Ornan when she died or disappeared, or when she was out of his life? How old was she at that? How old was he at that point?
He was probably as old as Sylvie is now, so like early 20s, which is still kind of like a very young adult for a gnome, what I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. So then how did Ornan deal with not just... I'm going to say it like this. How did Ornan deal with having to share the memory of his mom with all these other people who saw her as this amazing person? Did that affect Ornan at all, or was he just happy to have the memories that he did? Does that make sense? Sometimes you might get a little bit of like rivalry or jealousy, maybe, at having a parent who is that famous. How did Ornan take it?
Ornan took it pretty well, like as well as can be. He has always respected, revered his mother. When she died, he, grieved, and he watched the town around him grieve as well, like right along with him. And he wanted to. That's what inspired him to become a warrior himself, so that he could basically live up to her. To the person that she was, so that she could be proud of him. Like if she were still alive, that she would be proud of what he has done with himself. And so it was her example that inspired him to become who he is.
Okay. What about Kino? Is it pretty similar to him, or did he have different kind of motivations?
The two of them were pretty similar. Kino, his response, I'd say it was probably Ornan that convinced the two of them to join the militia. But then later in life, it was Kino that convinced the two of them to join the Vantorians.
All right. So we know that then Ornan and Kino were part of the militia, and I imagine had some experiences protecting Glimhaven from, forces around, maybe some roving Duragar, or maybe some random Myconids or something, or a random Boule that is sorry, I'm going through all the Baldur's Gate 3 things that I can think of about the Underdark. Some hooked horrors jumping off of that tree. Anyway, sorry. So we know that Ornan and Kino were a member of the militia. Was there anything that stands out about Ornan's time in the militia? Or was it pretty much like a National Guard type of thing, 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year type of thing?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. You do have your full-time job still, but you serve on the weekends, and you run formations. You learn how to ride a riding dog, and that's where the standard issue weapon is a war pick. So they all kind of get their own war picks, and they learn how to ride dogs, and they do different formations and ride through tunnels and things like that to get used to what it would be like if in the event of an attack. And excuse me, they did go through, some minor skirmishes, nothing crazy, nothing that would have gotten a name for either Ornan or Kino, but they served for maybe 10 to, it was probably about 10 years in the militia until Ornan was about 30.
Okay. And then Vantorians came along. So at this point in our story, kind of where we're going to start out, Ornan is in Glimhaven. Kino is in Glimhaven. You guys have finished your time with the Guard. And I imagine that there is... time to move on and, find a career, settle down, or do whatever it is you're going to do with the rest of your life. I imagine that's probably going through Ornan's mind a lot over these last couple of weeks as you guys finished out your time with the Guard. We're going to jump in to a moment in Glimhaven, sitting in probably in your I think like Cheers, where everybody has a seat at their local brewery, their local pub.
Okay.
Everybody knows who you are. It's a small town. So I imagine that, Ornan, you're sitting at your stool that you always pull up at this little brewery called it's called
The Leaky Thatch.
Sure, it's called the Leaky Thatch. And of course, the thatch is made out of these palm fronds that look like the palm of hands, as one does in the Underdark. Ornan, you are sitting there, and in walks your brother Kino. As he walks in, everybody there at the bar, all these other deep gnomes, they say "Ipadai" or whatever gnomish is for hello, and people like said, "Hey, Kino,
Ipadai,
good to see you." And Kino walks up to you, Ornan. He's like, he comes and he sits down across from you. I imagine, Ornan, you know what it is that's on his mind. You see as he comes in, even without an insight check, you see he has got a focused look in his eyes. It looks like he is trying to, like, as soon as he sits down, he's going to start talking again, and he's going to start talking about this thing that he's been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And this last couple of weeks, what he's been talking about is the Church of Aona, and he's been talking about the Order of Vantorians, and he has been talking to you about the next stage of your guys' lives, and he's convinced that maybe it goes down this route. So he sits down across from you, and he says, "Hey, Ornan, I know last time we were talking, there was some things I didn't quite get to share with you about, the things I've been learning, but I wanted to just, kind of keep this conversation going." And he kind of reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a little scroll. I was going to say a little trifold pamphlet. He pulls out this little scroll, and on it, it's got this wax seal.
The Church of Aona and you.
Exactly. That's basically what it is, right? It's this little wax scroll, and it's a tract about Aona and the worship of Aona, and it is specifically written by the Order of the Vantorians. And he slides it across to you, and he says, I read this, and I know our family's always worshipped
Caladur and Smooth Hands. I know.
Yeah, yes, I know that's been our. I'm not even doing his accent. I know that's been our family who we worship, but there's something to be said about Iona and what she does for people. Here, look here. And he kind of unrolls the paper, and he's like I was saying, these Vantorians, what they do is they go and they protect people from all the wild things out there. And they're actually coming here and they're helping out. And they're actually pushing back some of the wild out there.
We already protect the people here in Glimhaven. We're part of the militia.
Well, we are. I mean, kind of. I mean, our 10 years is up. So, I don't know. I liked it, but did you ever feel like maybe we weren't doing enough? Like maybe we were just kind of holding ground? Maybe we were just kind of staying in our cave, staying in our cavern, staying in our town, and just keeping people out instead of like trying to connect and make something bigger?
That's true. And we never did make a name for ourselves like Mom, so I don't know. How far away would we be going?
So, well, I don't know. And that's one of the problems. I don't know where we'd go. It all just depends on where the church needs us, where they send us, right? If we do kind of like check this out and start following Aona and this Vantorian order, first off, I mean, look right here. And he kind of points, and then like there's a bunch of words written in Common, and I'm sure that at this point Ornan speaks Common and reads Common, but it's still not your first language. And he's like, look here, and then you see like a drawing of like a sword and a shield, and you see like a symbol of like a flame, and underneath it you see like this dead, sort of like multi-legged, childish looking monster, basically, right? That somebody had drawn. It's like, see, they're out there and they're trying to keep people safe from the monsters, but they go where the problems are. And honestly, the ones I've been talking to that came here to town, they've been here for a couple weeks, and they think that there's a lot we can do right here.
So we wouldn't have to leave here for a while?
Potentially. But, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, Mom was wonderful, right? And, I'm a little older. I knew her maybe a little bit longer than you did. But, I mean, basically, she's a hero to everybody around. And she never left, right? She stayed here in the Underdark, just protecting our town and protecting our area. But if we do become Vantorians and we do end up having to travel, imagine the stories we could come back with. I mean, we could actually go potentially see the sun.
Oh, that would be a sight.
Yeah, exactly. We could see I don't know, palm trees that don't look like bloody hands. I hear they're beautiful and they got coconuts, right?
Wow.
Listen, I know it's not as simple as that. There's a whole level of worship and following of Aona and everything, but she's got power. I swear, she's got power. I've seen some of it.
What interests me more is protecting the people that I care about, and if that's where you're going to be, then I'll be there to protect you.
Make an history or religion check.
Ooh, I am equally bad at both.
Perfect.
I got a 10.
A 10. I'll say that's good enough. I mean, at this point, you're level 2, maybe?
Yeah, maybe just barely hit level 2.
Yeah, so, veteran warrior here. As you are, you and Kino have talked a couple times about this. You've read through some of the pamphlets he's brought home. You haven't talked to any of the Vantorian, inquisitors that are here in town that he's been talking about. You've seen them at a distance, right? There's a couple of humans, and then there's a dwarf, but not like a Durgar like you're used to seeing down here. This is pale skin, red hair, ginger hair, things that you have seen very little of. It's still kind of an oddity here in your small town. But one thing with your 10 that you rolled that you recognize is not in this pamphlet from the Vantorians is any talk about magic use. And I'm sure that you have heard something about Aona's view on arcane traditions.
Okay. I don't know that it'll affect you or me too much, but I don't know that they look too kindly on magic that isn't Aona sanctioned. That's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right. The way that I hear it is that they talk about how people who don't get their power from Aona, they're seeking power. They're seeking the power of the gods on their own, and Aona doesn't shine too kindly on that. So I guess it makes sense, right?
Maybe, but it makes me nervous. I don't know if I'd agree with everything they teach, but if they're doing a good cause, I'd be happy to join with you.
Oh, right. Well, I'll talk to them, and I'll have them swing by the house tonight, and we can talk more and see about what it would take to actually, start down this road. Oh, Ornan, I'm glad you're going to come and do this with me. I really am. I think it's going to be good for both of us.
Of course. I just want to be where you are and make sure that you're safe.
And then he kind of turns around and he's like, now I just got to talk to Gemma. And you can see he looks a little bit worried.
Oh dear. That'll be quite the chat. We'll see how she takes that one.
We are going to leave the Leaky Thatch Tavern as we jump forward a little bit in time. So tell us a little bit about Ornan's first, year or so with the Vantorians. Anything specific happen that you can think of during his initial kind of training or initiation?
So one of the first things is you become a seeker when you first join the Vantorians. You train with seasoned hunters. You don't go out on any actual combat missions until they're trying to basically move you up to become a mark bearer and get your first tattoos and stuff. So in that first year, it's a lot of studying. It's a lot of learning tactics and just knowledge about different types of monsters to be ready for, what salve to use for, if a cockatrice bites you, gets you or something, things like that. So it's a lot of studying. They're also encouraged to learn an additional language. And this is where Ornan learned to speak and read and write Sylvan, just because they were going to be, anticipating encountering magical beasts. He and Kino thought that would be the most useful one to learn. In that first year, they work with their squad leader, Coram Roxel, and she has two ranks because there's two sides of the Vantorian organization. She is a brandished, which is a proven warrior that will lead either solo missions or small groups. And then she's also a flesh scribe. So she's capable of, she's a tattoo artist that will tattoo a record of victories and ranking onto other members within the institution. So Coram has been kind of Ornan and Kino's leader for much of their time within the Inquisition up to this point.
Okay. I imagine, too, you've heard a lot of her stories as she talks about her time up on the world above, dealing with the Loxania necropurge. Because you might recognize that name also from a different one of our stories of Via Severia, right?
Yeah.
You played as her, correct?
Yes, I played as her in the necropurge of Loxania.
Yes, that was when the Jordan ran. So very cool. So this would then start taking place after that, but pretty quick after the Loxania necropurge.
Yeah, probably not much afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, how old is Mogram, and how long ago was that on Mogram's timeline? Because we might have to...
25 years ago was the necropurge.
Ornan would probably have to have been older then.
I'm not going to worry too much about the math. Very good. Okay. All right. So we are going to jump a little bit ahead just after you've been with the Vantorians for about a year. One thing that you do know is that you are being trained with some other deep gnomes, but pretty quickly, you guys you leave Glimhaven.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea of staying around and protecting Glimhaven, you guys are actually, because you're training and you're not, up to snuff yet, you actually are taken not just out of Glimhaven, but you're actually taken up into the world above. You are taken up through a series of caves that are, it's not like a natural cave. It's like this ramp, this slow incline, slight incline tunnel that's all like stone and decorated. And it's called the...
it's an underpass.
Yeah. It's called Goron's Tunnel, and it's this tunnel that goes and it just continues at this slight incline so that you can walk it without fatiguing, but it just kind of goes around in this big spiral continually. Every once in a while, there's little stop offs. There's a place like partway up that's like a little hostel place where you can rest, and there are like these rooms that you can sleep in, and eventually you come out of this large cavernous opening on this hillside, and there is a small town there called Goron, and that is kind of your first glimpse of the world above. What's Ornan's first thing he recognizes, or the first impression of the world above?
Just how bright it is.
Yeah.
He closes his eyes and he can still see the sun, and that's just a weird feeling, on the back of his eyelids.
Yeah, I imagine even at night, Kino complains to Ornan. He's like, "Gosh, you can't even. The moon is so bright. How do you even sleep up here?"
Yeah, let's have another drink and we'll fall asleep quick.
Oh yeah. Well, the everything is so green. Down below there's grays and browns, right? But lots and lots of grays. But then you have these crystal clusters that are so beautiful. You have the glowing phosphorescent mushrooms that kind of light everything up, but it's just kind of this dim light.
Yeah.
At all times, there's no day-night cycle really. And up here, it's like all of a sudden the world stops once the sun goes down and it starts to get dark. And I imagine that's also kind of new for Ornan as well.
It's just strange because the cycles were marked, just based on the passage of time, but there was nothing celestial to trace the passage of days.
Yeah, so it was like nobody worked graveyard. Everyone worked graveyard kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, as we continue to move forward, you guys have been training now for about a year, and there has been some reports of a small town. You find out that Goron is actually in the Killian Highlands, but it's on the kind of the eastern edge of the Killian Highlands, which would be like coming down out of the mountains and into the Siren Valley, right?
Okay.
So you're sort of central, kind of west central via Severia, in an area that we have not gone to yet in the campaign. We've talked a little bit about the Siren Valley in Guy's episode, but that's pretty much as far as we've gone. So you're in the Killian Highlands here in Goron, and you hear that you've been told that let's just play it. Let's just play it.
All right.
You and Kino are sitting in your tent. You guys have been drilling all day. You are kind of tired, and Coram Roxel comes in, and she says, "Attention!"
Oh, yep. Yes, ma'am.
She bows to both of you, and she says, not bows. She, what would be her? She puts her hand to her chest and then holds it out to you, and she says, "Aona bless you and guide you. We have word that there has been a creature sighted 2 days east of here. It has been terrorizing a small town, and we want you to go and put a stop to it. I think you both are ready."
Oh, you mean it's time to get our first marks?
Think it is time to get your first marks. You have already shown yourselves more than capable with weapons, and over this last year you have learned a lot of Aona and her teachings, and I think you are ready to show our order your mettle.
All right. Point us in the direction of danger. Let's go.
Kino is like hopping from foot to foot. He is so excited. She gives you some directions. She gives you a small map. It's very basic, right? It just kind of has directions like where you guys are camped right now, where you guys have been training. You just basically walk down south for about 3 hours until you hit the road. Then you head west, and you're going to come to a small town, and that small town is called Knotwood Ferry. Okay?
All right.
And that is where you are supposed to go. They've been having some trouble. And she just says, when you're done, come back with a trophy of your victory. And then she puts her hand to her heart again, and she holds her hand out to you and says, Aona, guide and protect you.
And you too, Coram. Thank you.
Okay, so pretty quickly, Kino is saddling your dogs, right? And he's like, let's go. He is itching to get out there and kind of start proving something to himself. Throughout this last year of training in the Vantorians, who would you think was more devout for Aona, Ornan or Kino? Or were you both just kind of Jack Aonans?
Yeah, neither Keenan nor Ornan have ever been very religious people. I think Kino of the two may be more religious, but they're like, Christmas and Easter churchgoers, and that's about it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, very good. Yeah, you guys mount up on your riding dogs. You guys travel south for 3 hours until you find the road, and then you start heading east. And you're like, wow, it's so easy to figure out which way to go. You just look up at the sun, and it tells you where to go. Right? All this navigating the world above is so easy, right? It just kind of comes. Everything just makes so much sense up here because the sun tells you what you need to know. We jump ahead a day and a half. Kino and Ornan are in the tall grass as they are looking at this one solitary tree that is growing up. And the grass is so tall that Keenan and Ornan don't really have to duck down very much to stay hidden, but they know that they've tracked something that has been bothering the animals here in this small town, Knotwood Ferry. There have been a couple of dead Well, let's just say there have been a couple of half-eaten, rock-hard sheep that you guys have come across. And as you guys are standing in the grass, suddenly leaping out of the tree, flying towards you, you see this monstrous chicken. It is larger than a normal chicken, but still smaller than you guys. But it has it has feathers along its head. It's got this sharp pointed beak, but it almost has like scales down its neck and on its belly. Its wings are flapping as it comes flying at you, and it lets out this shriek that sounds somewhere between like a rooster's crow and like the scream of a dying horse, right? It's this horrible
Nice.
sound as it comes flying towards you. And we are going to roll initiative as the cockatrice is attacking you. All right. So the cockatrice has a whopping initiative of 3, and Kino has a whopping initiative of 14.
Nice.
What is Ornan's initiative?
Ornan got a 6.
Ornan got it. Okay, so it's going to go Kino, Ornan, and then the cockatrice. Okay, so the first things first, this cockatrice is flying towards you. Kino whips out his warhammer, and he's got his shield in front of him. He's got his warhammer, his war pick in his other hand, and he goes charging towards this cockatrice, shouting out, "For Aona!" as he goes and takes a swing at the cockatrice with a 14 to hit, and that will hit the cockatrice, dealing a whopping one-handed weapon. Dealing a whopping 4 damage to this cockatrice. All right. And it is now Ornan's turn. We are way scaled back, very low level at this point. So yeah, 1 attack is all Kino gets. What is Ornan going to do?
Ornan will charge in as well with his war pick, and he's gonna strike out with the pick side. 23 to hit.
Okay, yeah, that'll hit for sure.
Dealing, so it would have been 3 plus, so it would have been 9 damage.
9 damage. So a total of then 13 damage has been dealt to this thing. And it is now its turn. It is going to turn and bite at you, Ornan, as you have dealt the most damage to it. So let's see. It is going to bite out at you and get a 19 to hit.
Oof, that will definitely hit.
All right. And it is going to deal 2 piercing damage, minimum damage. But what I do need is I need a Constitution saving throw, difficulty 11.
Oh, man. Ornan got a 17.
Okay. You feel as the bite it punctures through the chain of your sleeve. You can feel a piece of that beak puncture your skin. You can almost feel like your arm starting to seize up as you feel your body beginning to start to petrify. But you are a gnome. You are not just a gnome. You're you're from the Underdark, right? This is nothing for you. You end up kind of almost like flexing it out, right? You just flex your muscles, and that toxin, that magical petrification stops, and you are not affected by this poison. And we're going to jump back up to the top of the initiative, and it is Kino's turn again. And he is going, he only rolled a 7 to hit, so he is going to miss, but it is now Ornan's turn. Ornan
is going to attack again. I only got a 12 to hit this time.
A 12 will hit.
13 damage, and then he's gonna lean over to Kino and say, "Check this out," and he's gonna spin the shaft and then strike at it again with the hammer side.
Yeah,
and got a nat 1 for a 6 to hit.
Kino calls out, "Hell's bells!"
I'm still working on it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, the cockatrice is just like one wing is like crumpled and punctured. It looks like it can't fly anymore, but it is now going into feral mode as it starts to like reach out and try to claw you and hook you with its talons. But it's going to reach in and try to get you again, Ornan, with its beak. And that's going to be a natural 20.
That hits. Yeah.
And that is going to be a total of 5 piercing damage.
Okay. Whew. All right.
And I need you to make a Constitution saving throw one more time. Difficulty 11.
Oh, no. That's a 12. Oh.
That's a 12. Again, you feel this thing. It's trying you. I mean, now after seeing some of the dead sheep and like there's a couple of dead cats and stuff, you can see like what this venom does to things. And now that you felt it as well, you see how that would, you basically you become incapacitated, and then it will start to eat you. It is now Kino's turn again. This cockatrice is almost dead. Like, it has 1 hit point left. Man. I know, yeah, you almost got it. We have one more swing from Kino, and it is a natural 19, which is definitely going to hit.
Nice. Before
any modifiers. And that is going to be another minimum damage, 4 damage. But nice. That is enough. As this cockatrice, I imagine it's like one of its talons is kind of caught up in your jerkin as it's trying to claw you, and it's pecking at you, and you're swinging at it. And Kino just kind of like takes his pick at his war pick, flips it around to the hammer side, and just baseball bats this thing, crushing its skull as it goes flying off of you. And we are going to cue victory music.
Nice.
All right. So here you guys are. You have had your first kill as Vantorians. It is successful. As you guys are, kind of looking at your prize, I imagine the swelling that you feel, the pride that you feel from having protected this small town, which, even though it's above ground, right? And it's like, oh, there's like trees, and well, you guys have trees and stuff. They're just palm trees. Anyway, it's just everything feels different, and yet it feels the same, right? It feels the same. And having been able to help protect this small town just gives you almost that same joy you'd have if this was Glimhaven. You're able to actually like connect this town to Glimhaven and have that same type of feeling. Okay, so you guys take this trophy and you report back to Coram Roxel. The next time we see Ornan here in this series of events, Ornan, you're sitting in a chair as Coram Roxel is getting her needles ready for your first tattoo.
Awesome.
You look over and you see Kino already he's like kind of rubbing his arm where he already got his first tattoo. What does this tattoo look like that you guys are getting for your first kill?
In the Vantorians, you usually get tattoos whenever you've progressed enough to rank up within the organization. And the tattoo is usually of whatever creature it was that you defeated. And that gets tattooed onto your body in different places. Your arms for like the first couple of initiation rituals, and then your back and your chest and other places on your body. But they also incorporate that, like they start doing full body tattoos as you get different ranks. And so along with a tattoo of this cockatrice on Ornan's right arm, he'd start getting just like full body, like a full right arm sleeve, and then going up to his neck, like for the rank of a mark bearer within the Vantorians.
Nice. Very cool. And other Vantorians, like as you continue to progress up, and even at a relatively low rank, people even start to like tattoo their faces, right? They start to get like flame tattoos above their brows or like on their cheeks, that kind of thing too. So Ornan's not quite to that point yet, I would imagine.
No, not yet. Not yet. So what they do for the ink as well is they mix the Dark Lotus extract that Mogram has mentioned multiple times throughout the campaign. They mix that with the blood of whatever creature it was that you killed into the ink to kind of wear out whatever magical properties are in the blood, and then they ink you with the blood of the creature that you killed.
Nice. Okay, so there's almost like this, like all the ink is going to be just a slightly different color because the blood is just a little bit different from all these creatures, right? So it's always kind of dark, but there's always just a little difference, a little bit of variation that if you know to look for it, you'll spot it. All right, so you guys, Ornan and Kino are now mark bearers, right?
Yeah. So that's the first. So they were initiates, and now they're mark bearers, which is like the lowest rank of actually being a Vantorian.
All right. We are going to move ahead in time again. Now Ornan and Kino have kind of made more of a name for themselves. They are members of the Vantorians, not just initiates, where basically you could have walked away at any time and been okay.
Yeah.
Right? Now you guys are in. And now you guys have made certain promises, vows, covenants, whatever it is you want to call it. You've made commitments to this order. And now amongst the Vantorians, at least, maybe not other orders of Aeonan worship, but at least amongst the Vantorians, you see a lot of these people, if not as blood brothers, as symbolically brother and sister, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys have, you fight together, you train together, you protect together, you guys go through hell together, all to try to make the world better. This is I imagine it's a very, it's a hard life, but it's probably a pretty rewarding life.
Yeah. A lot of camaraderie. It's similar to serving in the militia or, a military organization that's loosely affiliated with the religion. I imagine that the engravers, the tattooing side of the Vantorians are the more clerical religious than the hunters, which is where Kino and Ornan are affiliated.
Yeah, and I would say in the majority of our campaign in general, the Vantorians that we have met, besides Coram Roxel, have been more of the hunters, less zealous than other orders, and more, I think they do see themselves as protectors of the weak and of, and that they show their worship of Aeona by protecting the weak and by protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think that's interesting in this campaign. In general, we've gotten kind of two different sided views of what it means to worship Aeona. And I think the Vantorians, at least the hunters, represent the good that Aeona can do, right? And I think that's probably what Annalise would be seeing and why she continues to worship Aeona, even in spite of all the other things that have happened.
Yeah.
Because she also sees the good that followers of Aeona do, literally in the name of Aeona. So, yeah. But there might be some crisis of conscience stuff coming up. Just a little spoiler moving forward. Yeah, Although I don't know if you guys want her to lose her faith in Aeona, because then she'd lose a lot of power. I mean, there goes wall of fire, right? Anyway, okay.
That was clutch in the last fight too.
That's a total side note. But okay, we are going to move forward in time. Now that you guys have made a name for yourselves and you guys are kind of done with your training, believe it or not, you do get sent back down into the Underdark. You go back down through Goron's tunnel, along with some other Vantorians who have, a more experience than you, for sure. But you're considered, on their level. You are a brother with these other hunters who are heading down to go and try to not only spread the worship of Aeona to these small communities throughout the Underdark, but also to push back, some of the darkness, some of the danger that exists down there for just the average person who lives in the Underdark. Also, the worship of Aeona, it's interesting because a lot of people would see it as, that's an upper world. That's an upper world type of a belief system. It's an upper world problem, right? Aeona doesn't come down here, but Aeona's not the goddess of the sun. She is the goddess of fire and of purging fire, of making clean and making pure through flame, both metaphorically and physically. And fire is important in the Underdark, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because it gets cold down there. You need to stay warm.
It does. But it also gets really warm down there too in other places where there's these geothermal vents and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, it's the Underdark is a varied place, for sure. So you are back in the Underdark. You and Kino have been now living and working with this other group of Vantorians for probably a couple of months at this point. And you are getting closer to Glimhaven. One thing that I think you guys would notice as you guys are moving back down into into areas that that you kind of grew up in this general area, is you notice signs of Aeonan worship. Now you see, as you move through one small town that is one of this collection of towns around Glimhaven, you see that there is actually now a shrine built to Aeona. And unlike buildings up above, this building, instead of having like a dome on top and like flames behind the windows, this building actually just has a brazier right on the top of the building, and it has fire burning at all times, right? It is just this beacon always.
Ornan would lean over to Kino and say, "That's a great way to get noticed pretty quick."
He's like, well, when you're protected by the flames of Aeona, you don't need to worry. I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
He's like, he kind of looks over at you and he's like, it does seem kind of silly. I mean, there's things down here that can drop from the roof, right? I mean, anyway, man.
That would have all been in gnomish.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, these uplanders, these upworlders, we can, we'll teach him. We'll teach him that there's still a reason why our houses have roofs, right? There's still a reason. All right. You and Kino you're not back home. You're close, but you're still probably about 2 or 3 days away from Glimhaven. You have heard that there are these attacks going on here close by, that people have been getting harassed by creatures that swoop down from the stalactites that are way up the top of this cavern. Something has moved in, and they've been really hard to track or to trap, because they literally kind of drop from the roof, the hundreds of feet up, and they drop down to attack. And then before you know it, people are missing. Right? Animals are missing. People's Underdark hogs are missing. They're rabbit chickens. No, they're chicken hares. Their chicken hares are missing, right? And but also kids have gone missing. That's a big deal. And having served in the Glimhaven militia, and now being here in this town just a few towns over, this town called Brimbleberry, that you can imagine being a member of the guard and feeling like feeling so unprepared for something like this, right? And feeling so helpless, as people are literally disappearing from the town, and things aren't coming from the walls. They're not coming from the cave entrances into this cavern. They're literally dropping down from the ceiling. And so you and Kino and these other Vantorians are here, and you are going to try to put a stop to it and see what it is that continues to harass these people. You are in town. I imagine after being upworld for a year, that you guys got used to having a circadian rhythm based on the sun. And coming back down here, it's been a little bit difficult to get back to, hey, we sleep when we're tired and we're awake when we're not. And we might sleep 3 times in a 24-hour period, but never more than 3 hours at a time, right?
Yeah.
So here you are. And these humans who are down here, they're also having a very hard time with how dark it is all the time. You have, it's not just these humans though. It is also your trainer. It is also Coram Roxel. She is here as well. She's not here with you right now, but you guys are on sort of this watchtower, on the roof of this watchtower, and you guys are basically hiding amongst like some barrels and boxes and that kind of thing, things that are just kind of like stacked up here. You guys are trying to hide up here to see when this thing comes from the ceiling to attack the town. And you guys are all in hiding up here. When Ornan, you are the first to spot it. As you are looking up, suddenly you see darker against the sky, which is already dark, right? The stalactites up above are these like bluish black stalactites hanging from the ceiling. Everything has this slight glow of these phosphorescent mushrooms that are glowing around you. When you see it, you see these two dark wings, darker than the sky behind, come streaking out of the sky, heading down towards the village. And then you see another and another. And up here on the tower, I'm going to retcon a little bit. Up here on the tower, it's just you and Kino, and others of the Vantorians are kind of set up elsewhere around the village as one of these creatures comes very, very close to you. And you and Kino, both in your hands, have a net and some javelins, and most importantly, because you guys are Sverfniblin, you have some throwing hammers.
Oh yeah.
As this thing comes streaking out of the sky, you get your first glimpse. It is humanoid in shape, at least from the waist up. It has this kind of bluish gray skin. It is naked. From the waist down, it is leathery skin with talons for feet. The wings are these bat-like, leathery, almost like dinosaur-looking wings. It has no arms, just wings in place of arms. It is this weird, underdark version of what up above would be like a harpy. But this is like it's ugly.
I imagine their eyes are like a lot bigger and their ears are like huge compared to like the overground versions. Just like adapting to the Underdark.
Exactly. Whereas up above, the harpies, like there's a certain beauty to them almost. Down here, these are predatory, and these are almost like you said, they're almost exaggerated in their proportions, their ears and their eyes. There is one that is coming screaming down close to you. What do you guys do? I'll let you make the first move, Ornan.
So Ornan and Kino, Ornan would like nudge Kino and say, "Get the net ready, let's throw it!" And they'd get ready to try and trap it in a net.
Okay, fantastic. As this thing comes flying down, I want you to make an attack roll. You can make it with advantage, but it is a ranged attack roll as you are throwing this net at this harpy.
Oh man, we're not great at range, but we can do this. I got a 9.
You got a 9. Okay, with advantage, you got a 9. The net goes.
Oh, I didn't realize I had advantage. With advantage, it would be 14.
Oh, with a 14. Yes. All right, this harpy is flying down close to this top of this tower as you and Kino, 1, 2, 3, you throw out this net. It has like rocks attached to the end. As it hits this harpy, the net wraps around it, the rocks spin down, it kind of tangles it up, and this harpy crashes down like the 50 feet to the ground, just plummets and hits the ground with a crunch. As that happens, you see some of your fellow Vantorians come running out and start stabbing it as it is unable to get out of the net. The fall itself gave it 15 damage just from the fall.
Nice.
And this thing does not have a terrible amount of hit points. You hear it starting to scream as you see leathery wings from other places kind of starting to come down as well. It looks like there is a whole, a flock, a murder of harpies, however you want to call it, a gaggle of harpies. As you are seeing looking down, watching this harpy getting stabbed to death, suddenly you hear from behind you, "Ornan, help!" And you turn around and you see that your brother Kino is pinned under the talons of one of these harpies. He is unable to move, and this harpy looks at you, bares her teeth, and we are rolling initiative.
Oh man. Ornan got an 18 initiative.
Oh, that is exactly what the harpy got too. Let's do a roll off. 7.
A 19.
19. All right, very good.
The first, so I got a 17 to hit for the first hit
That'll hit.
for 8 piercing damage.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Very good. All right. This harpy is standing on your brother Kino. He does not get a turn because he is restrained by this harpy's claws. This harpy has like this thick, stout stick with a solid rock, basically like a rock hammer type of thing, in its hand. And as you came running to it and stabbed at it, it is going to take a swing at you, 2 swings actually, with this club. The first one is going to be an 11. Does that hit you?
11 does not hit.
How about a 16?
16 will miss as well. AC 17 when he's at this point.
AC's 17. All right. And this harpy starts to flap her wings, and you know that if you cannot somehow stop this harpy, she is going to fly up with your brother in her clutches.
Okay. Ornan at this point has the fiery brand, the skeletal brand that I call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that he's ever used it up until this point, and it's magical. And I don't know that he knows that he has it yet. So
right. Okay.
I'll grapple it for now. Actually,
You're good. Okay.
Ornan is going to try to grapple it.
I think we just make opposed athletics checks as you jump up and grab this thing, this harpy who's going to try to fly away with your brother. Athletics is going to be okay.
Opposed athletics.
Make your roll. Go ahead and make your athletics roll. Sure. We'll just do it. We'll just do opposed athletics.
Ornan got a 7.
Oh, and this harpy got an 8.
Oh man.
You are grabbing on, you are trying to stop this harpy, and that was your turn. And on its turn, it starts to fly away with your brother, but your brother is heavy, wearing full armor, a small creature, but a hefty small creature.
Mm-hmm.
This harpy gets about 10 feet off the ground with your brother. And at this moment, if you can't do something, your brother is going to be gone. So, Ornan, at this point, something happens. Almost as you're standing there on the roof of this tower, it's almost like you enter bullet time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything slows. The flapping of the wings of this harpy are so slow, and you can almost, it's like when Peter Parker in that Spider-Man movie of 1999 or whatever, the first one with Tobey Maguire, where he's getting in a fight and he kind of is looking around at the fists coming at him and he just keeps dodging.
Yeah.
Except for only your eyes are moving that fast. Like you are looking around and you're like, my brother is going to be gone. This harpy is going to eat him. I will never see my brother again. But what is that sound? You feel in the soles of your feet almost like a tingle, or no, it's a vibration. Yes, it's a the ground is shaking, but just so minimally. And as you kind of look around, you don't see anything else shaking. Like the crates and barrels that were stacked up here, nothing else is moving. You're not moving, but you feel the vibration of the earth coming up through your feet as suddenly out of the ground erupts this purple worm. This spectral purple worm. And as you see your brother being taken by this harpy, you now have basically the stature of a 10-foot tall, large creature. This worm circles around you, granting you strength, and it is now your turn as Ephos shows up.
Okay. Ornan is going to strike out with his war pick again, confused by the whole thing, but just like, I imagine I've described it like this. That's like DBG style, just like charging up, like energy swirling around him, and Ethos like kind of moving and maneuvering all around him, creating that extra space. He jumps up and strikes at the creature with a natural 1 and misses, but he's gonna spin the shaft.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
He's gonna spin the shaft, and I got a 21 to hit this time.
That will hit. All right, let's see what kind of damage you can do.
So it'll do 9 piercing damage, but then I'm also gonna, like, as I'm in the air hitting him with the one side, my left hand, I'll grab onto the leg of the harpy and brand it with the fiery brand, and it needs to make a DC 13 strength save or be restrained by fiery shackles.
With a natural 1. Oh, I kid you not. This harpy suddenly cannot fly. Like, you grab this leg and a fiery shackle shackles it in place, and it cannot move. Ethos I almost like bites her leg as well and just holds her in place, even though Ethos is just spectral. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of power coursing through you. Does that do extra damage as well?
It does, and I rolled 2 6s, so it did 12 damage. And Ethos's bite does work once per turn, and Ethos did 4 damage.
21, 25. And how much damage did you do your first round?
8 damage on the first round.
So you've done 33 damage now, if my math is correct. This thing is on death's door. It cannot move. It has nothing else to do but swipe out at you as it is still clinging to your brother, who is calling out helplessly. It is going to take 2 swings at you with this club, and that is going to be a 12 or a 15, and those both miss.
Neither of those will hit.
All right. What are you going to do, Ornan?
Ornan's going to attack it, and since it's restrained, do I get advantage? Or is that
how that works? It literally is restrained, or it just kind of keeps it from moving?
It says is restrained for 1 minute, and then it says while restrained by the shackles, it takes an additional 2d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns. So it would have, at the beginning of its turn, it would have taken another 6 fire damage.
You said 2d6? Because I rolled 2d6 and I rolled 11 damage. But even if it was just 6, that is enough. As this harpy shrieks in pain as fire erupts all around it. It drops your brother, who rolls away and starts patting his shirt, his jerkin, that has now been singed a little bit by this burning harpy. As this harpy falls to the rooftop, you have cleansed this harpy with Aeona's holy fire, potentially? Maybe not. Maybe. And we are going to cue victory music.
Nice.
All right. The rest of this day is kind of a blur because of the things that happen very soon after. Your brother is incredibly grateful for all of the effort that you put into saving him. He can't stop thanking you. He is so excited that your guys' net worked so well, that you guys were victorious in killing these underdark harpies that were harassing this small town of Brimbleberry. And you guys, over the next couple of days, Coram Roxel says that you guys have shown your mettle, and you guys have done so well that it's, you've taken on another beast, another creature that has been harming the good people of the Underdark, and it's time for your second tattoo. And we've seen the aftermath of that event already.
Yeah.
In Ornan's Fey plant-induced dream.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about it. Okay. What happened?
So the tattooing, similar to the first one, they infuse it with the blood of the creature. They mix in some of the dark lotus extract, and they go about the process. At this point, Ornan has some innate magical powers, and this dark lotus extract starts messing with his own physiology, and his arm. It happens slowly at first, but his arm starts going like necrotic and like withering away with the ink in his arm. And it comes to a point where he and his brother decide to chop the arm off. But Corum, in all of what's happening and her kind of being their squad leader and tattoo artist, she checks her work and sees that something's wrong. And Kino and Ornan end up killing her to keep the secret of his arm having some sort of foul reaction with the tattooing process.
So real quick, Kino and Ornan, did they recognize Ethos?
Yes, they would have recognized Ethos because their mother, when she would fight particularly strong foes, she would summon Ethos to her side and fight alongside Ethos. Now, they didn't know exactly what it was. Anytime they would have pressed her as kids, that she would have pushed it off and said, oh, when you're older, I'll tell you about it. But that when you're older never actually happened.
Right.
Because she passed away. So they don't know very much about Ethos. They would have seen her and immediately recognized her, but they don't know anything about her.
Okay. Do you think Kino and Ornan think anything about their mom now that Ethos has shown up to Ornan?
So,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Kino and Ornan had always hoped that their mother was still alive somewhere, but the fact that Ethos is now with Ornan, he's convinced that his mother has now passed on, but didn't die when they originally thought she did.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he thinks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think Kino is in agreement. I think it's probably one of those things that you guys don't necessarily talk a lot about because you guys don't want to talk about the fact that your mom might be dead. Like she might not have been dead when you thought she was dead and she might be dead now. And it's just something that you guys don't want to address. It's more comfortable to just not talk about it at all, I think. But you did cut off your own arm and you did kill Corum Roxel. And we saw a little bit of this in the direct aftermath as you and Kino were escaping the Aeonin compound here in the Underdark, as you were trying to get away and kind of vanish from the sight of the Ventorians and not be branded as, heretics or magic users or, murderers. You make your way back to Glimhaven. Ornan, you have recovered is the wrong word. I don't think anybody ever you recover from the trauma, the initial trauma of losing your arm. But it's something that you carry with you forever. Did that, besides the what did that experience change about Ornan?
I think Ornan is always going to be a little bit naive with the way he views the world. One of the big changes of this is he didn't think of other people's suffering as relevant to him. Where, when they joined the Ventorians and when they've been worshiping Aeona, he was aware of some of the things that he disagreed with, but it didn't affect him personally. And now that he has been personally affected by it, he feels guilty for allowing himself to ignore the pain of others. That's something that I think he would struggle with his whole life, is trying to, find empathy for a situation that doesn't personally affect him. But it's definitely changed the way he looks at the world.
What about his relationship with Kino? Kino, I sure feel somewhat responsible, because had it not been for him, you guys would have never even signed up with the Ventorians. You guys would have never followed that route at all.
Yeah. He and Kino, I don't think the relationship was harmed by leaving, but multiple conversations between the two of them, over the years, of Kino wondering what it would be like if he had joined on his own, and maybe they never would have had to leave, and he could have spent his time with the Ventorians for longer. Ornan doesn't usually engage when they have that like line of thought, because he doesn't like thinking about them not being together, at least when Kino was still alive.
All right, well, we're going to jump ahead again.
Okay.
Ornan and Kino, you guys initially you hid from the Ventorians. You returned to Glimhaven and soon realized that, this probably wasn't going to be a safe place for you to stay. You needed to find somewhere else to disappear. And so Kino had some long talks with his girlfriend / betrothed / fiance / always kind of assumed that they would be together with Gemma. And you three decided that you would leave Glimhaven and you would leave the Underdark. You guys traveled through Goron's tunnel up into the world above. And I think for a while just kind of tried to figure out what it is you could do, where you would go, and soon realized that the world above is even more rife and full of Aeona and its worshippers, and the tattoos that Ornan still has and the tattoos that Kino has are pretty obvious as the beginnings of some followers of Aeona, of these Ventorians. So you decided to find somewhere away from all that, and that led you guys to the big town of Barograd.
I imagine them looking at a map of Via Severia and wondering if a little dot was a smudge or a town, and deciding that's where they needed to live.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys ended up in Alaron Barony, here way up, in the northwest of the country. You guys are out with the pine trees, cold, wet, snowy winters, mild, beautiful summers, swimming in is it Emmons Pond? I can't remember now. I'm going to go there, actually, because we haven't been to Beargrad for a long time. Swimming in...
That's right. I'm going to pull up Legend Keeper, too.
Yeah, you were swimming in Carlin Pond. Pretty quickly you recognized that there were some things that were not, there were some opportunities that were not being taken up by the people there. And one of them was, there was no real good brew house. There was no really good pub. The inn that was there at the time, the Riverview Lodge, was sort of run down. It was, since then it has been totally rebuilt, and nobody goes there because everyone wants to go to the All the Way Inn. Kino, you and Ornan and Kino and Gemma, the three of you, you find this, sort of dilapidated old rundown building, and you're like, yeah, we can fix this up. And you do, and you turn it into, nothing fancy. It's not huge, but it has some rooms. It has a nice bar. It has a place for you to live. Gemma and Kino move in, and they start living there. Ornan, I imagine you live in your house next door, right?
Yeah. With the tunnel between them, where and where they grow mushrooms in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you dig your own tunnel. You start planting your own mushrooms, and I imagine, Ornan, you start becoming, you're getting I was gonna say green thumb. You start getting a blue phosphorescent thumb, right? And suddenly the All the Way In is kind of taking off. At one point, you're all sitting there. Everything's kind of closed down for the night. Gemma is in the back kitchen and she's kind of cleaning up from the dinner rush. Kino's wiping the bar. You're putting some mugs away. Kino turns to you and says, Ornan, I never would have expected life to take this turn, but all things aside, and he kind of looks over at, your where your arm was. He says, I'm glad that it turned out this way. I'm glad that we get to be together.
Me too. It's funny how life takes turns we don't expect. And this one, I think, wasn't so bad as I first thought.
He says, I'm glad that we stuck together, and I'm glad that, you're here and that we have this life. And, we were gonna tell you, I guess now's as good a time as any. Gem is pregnant.
Oh, congratulations! That's fantastic.
Hey, you're gonna be an uncle, and I think you're gonna be the best uncle there ever was.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'll sure try.
That night is a happy moment between you and your brother. And it's only in the weeks and months after, that you start to recognize the first signs that he was not doing well, that something was wrong, that his cough was not getting better, that his energy was waning, that your brother Kino was not going to be around, at least not the way he always was. It was a lingering illness, and there was moments that it seemed like he was going to hang on forever, but he was never quite the same. And this was kind of the last time that I think you remember, Ornan, just being with Kino, and it was just like old times. And that's where we're going to stop for tonight.
Okay.
In Beargrad with your dying brother. Thanks for playing tonight.
Of course.
I think we got some good background feel for Ornan and his history.
Yeah. And I feel like we teased a little bit about him not really knowing anything about Ethos, and maybe we'll explore that down the road.
Yeah, that sounds great. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks everyone for listening. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. You can listen to Your Neighbor's Potatoes. We will talk more about this episode as well as the other episodes we've been recording recently. And you can also check out the wiki at certain tiers, and you can see these maps like of Beargrad. It was kind of fun to go back to this map. I haven't looked at it in like a year at this point.
I haven't either. I'm pulling up the map of Ornan's house and of All the Way In.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, hey, until we get together next time, we hope you have a great time.